white man's idea of a Negro. Now, because after all, what does happen is that the Negro takes the image which he's offered and believes it himself. You know. Mm-hmm. Now, what Ralph did in Invisible Man was very, very different. It was very, very different. And superficially, perhaps, you know, the novels may seem to have a great deal in common, but the great break between them is that Ralph dealt with his people and this boy from the inside and was no longer being described in any way whatever, really, by other people, but was imposing his definition of himself on the world. For years, for all the time we know about, really, all the time that matters to us, Negroes, black men have been described by white people. In order for the Negro slave to become an American, he had to accept all the definitions which were offered him, the language, the psychology, the theology, the morals, everything. He was defining himself in terms of someone else's definition. It is very important when the day comes that instead of being defined by others, you are able to define yourself, and the threat, which is always what is felt by the people who have been describing you, is that if you can describe yourself, then you can describe them, and if you can describe them, what will you say? And in the case of the American Negro describing white people, one can see, I think, how great the panic might be. Why? Well, what would I have to say about
American liberalism?
Yes, what would I really have to say about, if I were going to describe, I can't name names, so a hypothetical white liberal. Well, I know what he thinks he's doing. But what he's mainly doing is something which demands my tacit cooperation. I have to agree that I am what he says I am in order for us to have any dialogue at all. Now, if I don't agree that he is what he I am what he thinks I am, then inevitably, and one sees this at once in the face as the people you're dealing with, it means that if I'm not what he takes me to be, that means I have a standard of judgment which is not his, which I may then be using to judge him.
And which may cut the ground from under all the standards.
All the other, yeah, exactly.
Do you regard this as a distinct threat to the, what shall I call it, the sense of spiritual security, American?
I think the Americans essentially, I don't think this, I know this. Yes, this is a threat to the American personality as it has so far been constituted. It's a threat to it is a threat to their definition of the world.